All right, everybody. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. My name's Christopher Bell, your favorite YouTuber who you need to subscribe to. I have I have one normal guest on. His name is Jay Naugy. He also has a YouTube channel, so you should freaking subscribe to it, okay? We make amazing content, and we tell you how to build real wealth without blowing a bunch of money on stupid advisor fees or making dumb investments like buying Tesla at a 1600 PE ratio. So welcome. Tell all your friends about us. We got old Jay here, and then we have a special guest today. His name is Drew. Drew, please introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Drew. I'm a Air Force veteran, and, I've been following y'all. And, basically what you've been saying is what has been banged into my head with long-term investing, indexing, saving. So I just kind of came on and just to reiterate what you guys are talking about, and after reading some of your book too and looking into it, I'm a fan. So I just
are you talking about this one?
Oh man, perfect marketing. Yep, that one. But it's on Kindle.
See, if you get the not for resale one, it's an author copy, so you pay like half the price. So I was like, whatever, I'll just pay.
Well, it was free on Kindle, so I just said, screw it. I couldn't find the hard copy. I was actually trying to order it for my friend who is not very good with money, but because he would actually the language you use, he would listen. You don't have.
You think he actually would read it?
Yeah, because you don't have any kids gloves based on what I've read so far. And that's the kind of I think that's what a lot of people need to realize.
Yeah, I thought the name would draw people in. Like, oh, stop being a broke loser. Oh my god! But so far, sales have been pretty light. We'll say.
Get the name out there, man. Marketing. It takes time. I'm sure you'll be fine. I think what you should do is just go down to the high school and just be like, I want you to give this out. Just start giving it out to kids. I think that would totally work. I mean,
dude, I have an idea for a children's book, man. It's called The Frugal Knight, and it's about a knight who learns dragon magic. He sets out to slay the dragon because he thinks everybody's enthralled by this dragon because they bring him goods 4 times a year. And the dragon basically explains that he used, for lack of a better term, compound annual growth to get rich. He's just so old that's how he got his fortune. He's actually a capitalist, and he started business. He loaned money to start businesses. And like the guy learns this, and as he adventures, he watches all the other knights he adventures with spend their money on stupid stuff. And this knight ends up from like a middle-class background becoming extremely wealthy. But I'm going to include investing in there, stuff that would have no reason being in a medieval fantasy, like index funds.
So this dragon's not a garbage investor that only buys gold, right? He actually buys stocks and stuff.
No, he buys businesses.
Oh man, capitalist.
He starts and he loans his money. That's why he's got so much. You realize that not only does he have gold, but he also, because it's medieval times, dude. So, but he also has stock certificates, and he basically explains I just take this money and reinvest it.
What the thing that I've never I don't know, maybe because I was young and it was drilled into my head to kind of save and invest at such a young age, but I don't know. There's really nothing really sexy about indexing. I think that's the problem. But once the compound interest, like the market's up today, and I just get to see the numbers jump, I'm like, that's pretty cool. But there's nothing really kind of that's the thing though. It's I don't know about how to make this, how to make investing kind of cool to kids.
Warren Buffett talks about it. He says good investing is, nobody wants to get rich slowly.
No,
because it was like Jeff Bezos asked him. He said to him, if your method works all the time, why don't more people do it? And he said, because nobody wants to get rich slowly. And it's
wasn't Amazon bankrupt for years? Weren't they at a negative net worth for years? That was kind of they had a really rough time. But yeah, it's to go to what you were talking about. Especially with student loans and every. I like your video where you're talking about the student loans, where it's just don't worry about them, just focus on yourself. because the only thing I think that needs to be done is that we just need to shut off the student loan program. Because if we're going to forgive all these student loans, but we keep giving them out, then what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, it's all because of the government. They're like, hey, we'll just lend out to anybody, and it doesn't matter if you're going to have a crappy degree.
Yeah.
We'll just lend out student loans. And that's the problem is if you left it to the private sector would be like, okay, well, if I lend to a liberal arts major, I'm probably not going to get a return on my investment.
But if it's STEM, then
if it's STEM, they would. So in the private sector, they'd be able to actually make a better determination of who to loan the money to because they actually can experience a loss. So they would actually modify interest rates or maybe not even give people loans at all if it was just based solely on the private sector. So it's totally the government's fault, in my opinion.
It's the same way with the housing crisis. I mean, I think the road to hell is always paved with good intentions, but look how that turned out.
Well, another part of our problem is like they aren't saying to kids in high school, like, okay, what do you want to go to school for? Psychiatry. Okay, dude. Look, unless you're going to be a doctor of psychiatry, it's not going to pay. You don't, or telling kids like, look, you're not really an office guy. Have you thought about becoming a plumber? Because just working for a company makes about $40 an hour. I just had a guy out here who changed some cartridges. I didn't realize it was this easy. I should have went to YouTube.
Yeah.
The guy basically unscrewed some stuff. I watched him do it, and I'm like, oh, I could have done that. $600 later.
How much?
$600 later.
$600. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and he told me too. He said it's only going to get worse. He's like, no young kids are coming into our field. He goes, it's like $150 for me to step foot on your property.
Yeah. Well, when my best friend from college, he dropped out of college and became a welder. He's killing it. He were and bought his house cash. Is just killing it. But I think the biggest problem is that with our education system is that they think this is a one size fits all thing. Everybody's got to go to college, and I went to college debt free, thank God, and the GI Bill helped me out with that a lot. But I have a real problem with the fact that these guidance counselors are like, well, just take out student loans and worry about it later. I mean, this is just some of the most insane stuff I've ever, as I get older, I realize I'm like, this is insane. This is criminal. Just nuts. Yeah. And but yet some high school campuses are refusing to let military recruiters on, even though it offers a better deal in the long run. I don't get that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think for the most part, a lot of conservatives just want to be left alone. And
absolutely.
A lot of in the progressive left, I'm not even talking about liberals. I'm talking about the crazy, insane people that want Gina Carano canceled. They want to push their ideals on you. And it's like I'm like, listen, dude, I go to work and I come home. I'm not playing identity politics. And in fact, there's a lot of the stand-up I've been writing recently is the complete opposite of woke. And it's like, we haven't done a good enough job of just looking at people and going, all right, this is the line, man. This is the line. I'm not doing that.
No, absolutely. I think that, at the end of the day, people are not they don't like confrontation in their lives. And, I understand that. But
I'm sorry. My main point was we should have looked at them and been like, no, these kids need to know that the military is a good option.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent. I had to drink caffeine to be cognizant, but we need to tell them the military teaches you a lot of good, like discipline, doing something beyond yourself.
Well, in my opinion, you know, it's like everybody gets, oh man, I got to get a dude bro sports scholarship. And it's like, but you could do 4 years of this. And then you don't have to, you're getting paid to go to school. You're getting a stipend. You're getting the yellow ribbon program. You're getting all kinds of stuff. You know, Or like with me, if you want to sit at home and do your degree online, you're still getting a housing stipend, and you can work full time. I worked nights and got my master's knocked out, and I was, and I'm like, and I would think to myself while I'm doing this, why isn't anybody else taking advantage of it? I mean, yeah, it's not all cupcakes and unicorns, but nothing in life worth doing should be easy anyways. I mean,
I don't think people really understand how truly great the benefits are.
Oh, they have no clue. None.
Yeah. And like, they're like, oh, well, they'll pay for your college. Well, you don't really think about it when they say that, but they're also giving you $1,000 or $1,500 a month tax-free, and they're paying for your book. Like, you can't beat it. But people, they don't think long-term. They're just like, well, the military's dangerous, and, I could get hurt, so I'm not going to do it. That's all
across the street, man.
Yeah, you get hurt driving to work. But no, I agree with you, man. They just I as a person who experienced college, then went into the military, I'm just telling people right now.
That's what I did.
The military is way more fun. I had way more fun in the military with the friends I made than I ever did in college. Like, I'm still to this day in touch with a lot of people that I served with, went to college with.
Yeah. That's another thing, because everybody's doing reconnaissance man now through all of this. Everybody's hopping in their vans and going to different states. I think more than, 2 people that I went to basic training with and 4 other people have stopped by, just checking out, this, where I'm at. And it's great. It's fantastic, but I think only one friend from college that I had came out. So, it really is something that, it's pretty cool when you have people who, because this was 10 years ago for me. Basically over 10 years ago, and, everybody's still reaching out and staying in contact. So I think it's great, especially if you're an 18-year-old kid and you don't have it figured out, which no kid does. You probably should do that time while you're getting paid. And then at that time you can, you can double dip and go to school while you're doing it. I don't know about you, but like when I was
I lived in Germany for 3 years.
Yeah. I've been to Rammstein. It's pretty gnarly. I loved it. It was only there for a couple days, but it's awesome.
Dude, I was there for like almost 3 years, and it was magic. Going to like festivals around there, just drinking German beer. I had a German girlfriend for a while.
Yeah, it's great. You can't beat it, man. Yeah, and you're with a group of people.
You probably can't see it. You probably can't see it, but on the shelf behind me, there's a stuffed sea turtle animal, or a stuffed sea turtle up there. I won him at a fair. It's gone everywhere with me. Like after that. So, it's lame, but it's just something I can point to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. And plus the fact is at 18, if I was smarter, I wish I would have started contributing to my TSP the day I got in. But of course, it took a relative of mine who is a finance guru. He's like, what are you doing? Like, you need to start putting money into this, especially if it's tax-free and you're deployed overseas.
Well, I think now they're actually doing I think they're automatically enrolling soldiers, or they're planning.
It's the blended retirement, isn't it? The blended retirement plan. I think
you get a 5% match, but I don't know if they actually make you contribute 3% automatically. I think it is 3%, and then you can choose to elect to put the additional 2% to get that total 5% match.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, but you know what? Everybody's got to go have that college experience, bro. You got to go pay $50,000 a year to go get drunk in a dorm. So
you trade your later life for a little bit of fun in your early 20s. I have more fun now in my early 30s than I ever had in my 20s.
Oh, my 30s are the best years, man. You got your shit together, you're educated, you got a career, you got a home, hopefully. In whatever aspect. This is way better than your 20s, in my opinion. As long as you made the right
decision. It's the best time of your life.
That's what the boomers have said.
That's another problem that we created, is we sold college as this experience. And now that I'm older, looking back on it, right, I would say to 18-year-old me, like, no, you need to live as crappy as possible and as impoverished as possible, so you understand that sucks and you never go back to it. Like,
yeah, but
you get a cot in the dorms. That's what you get, and you get these 3 meals that you're going to pay for. So you're basically going to be eating ramen, and you study, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think that when you're that age, you want to fit in, and I don't know if anybody can really be talked out of that at that age. I mean, you can say, oh shit, I should have started my Vanguard Total Stock Market Index at 18. I should have done this. I should have done that. But none of that stuff is sexy to an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old for that matter.
Hey, it's not sexy to most people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So.
Dude, it's bad. It's bad, man. I mean, like, what? I don't know if I didn't read your entire book, but I don't know the statistics now. Are the boomers able to retire? I mean, like, I got family members who did exactly what you preach, and they are killing it right now. But the majority of the boomers, I don't think they're ready. I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
Oh, they're not. Like, so basically, like, I've looked. I don't think I even put it in my book, but I think I've read some articles where, like, the average baby boomer has, like, maybe $170,000 in their retirement.
Jesus.
Which, if I do some quick math, that can produce a monthly income of $566, which I don't think you can really live that well off of. Okay. That's my personal opinion. So I think the majority of them will retire. They'll just live off Social Security. They'll have a part-time job, and then they'll, withdraw from their portfolio. So
yeah,
they can retire, but it's going to be a crappy retirement.
Well, you know what really scares me is, like, I know you're not a big fan of Dave Ramsey, but since I'm working from home, I'll put on, like, Dave Ramsey's, like, best, worst calls, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a great day, Dave. Thanks for having me on. I have $1.5 million in student loan debt, and I'm 65, and and should I start saving for retirement? And that's kind of like, oh my God, man.
You're gonna be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm a dude bro financial consultant.
His worst calls is comedy. And I might differ from Chris a little bit in that. I don't know, man. I like the for fund approach that Dave Ramsey recommends. If you're not using actual mutual funds that charge load, but if you just stick with the Vanguard Total Stock Market, a small cap and a mid cap, and a world index fund, it's going to be really tough to beat it. That's what I'm trying to prove on my channel. That I do is with my M1 finance portfolio is just, you're not going to beat this targeted fund or just throwing money in the total stock market or Dave Ramsey's approach. And
just let it ride.
You
just let it ride.
And why would you? How much time do you want to spend doing discounted cash flows and studying, the fundamentals?
Or stock picking and day trading, all this other dude bro shit that is just. The GameStop stuff is like, I think the GameStop stuff, I was listening to one guy and he said, the good thing about this is that it will get fiscal literacy on the map for a lot of people, but they're going to think that GameStop is going to happen every day. And that's not how it goes. That's just,
and I'm also convinced that institutional investors jumped and pushed that short squeeze. Mm-hmm. I just don't know that the retail investor has that kind of juice. Why hasn't it happened like that again? There's plenty of, you can make the case that there's not very many companies that have 140% of the float shorted, but I really think the hedge funds, because they're not one group agreeing on things. I do think that there had to be some hedge funds, that are sitting there going, yo, bro. With these people, with our help, we can just push this stock and just dump it.
Yeah,
I think that happened.
You think what happened was, well, obviously it was intentional, but you think the hedge funds?
I think it was a combination. I think once other really smart people started seeing what was going on, they're like, okay, dude, we're going to buy and then we're going to dump at 300.
I got you. Yeah.
Or they could have just shorted it. They could have actually shorted it again at that high price, because if they shorted it when it was like 300, 400, 500 and then they bought it back when it was like 40, that's a massive gain. That's like a 6x.
Yeah, dude, hedge funds did that. There were hedge funds that did that. I guarantee it. I thought the short squeeze was hilarious, but in the end,
great. Totally exposed them.
In the end, I felt bad for the guys that didn't know what was being sold. And in the end, the guy who was behind it, look, man, if he's a financial advisor, he at least has the minimum knowledge to know what he was doing. So, I mean, I don't know how I.
Well, yeah, but you were that exposed. But you were that exposed, and you knew that could happen. You gambled. It's like Vegas, and you put it all on red. Oh,
I'm talking about deep effing value.
Oh,
like people listening to him is like ultimately at the end of the day, it's like I was explaining to my buddy who's young. He's another stand-up comedian. I was like, listen, dude, you keep telling me about GameStop as if it's some revolution. You're going to lose that money unless you sell it. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to lose money to make a point? It's like cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Well, that's kind of one of my buddy's neighbors. He's in banking. He's in investment banking, and he actually told my buddy, "I'm sticking with it." And you're like, "Dude, come on, man." And I think he lost a lot of money. Yeah, he's investment banker. Yep, young guy. I think he's like 25, 26, and he's the ego, and he just was like. A
tale of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Look, we destroyed every hedge fund in the world, okay? All the hedge funds are gone. All the poor people are now rich. The world is cured of all inequality, okay? We're good to go.
And the worst part about this is people make it out that these hedge funds are doing this or doing that. And I tell them, I'm like, I say to them, do you know how much effect the hedge funds have on my life? Zero. Because I'm an index investor mostly, and I buy a few stocks because it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I'm doing Bitcoin right now is because I'm just like, hey, I know it's not, there's nothing supporting it, but hey, I'd like to get a little bit of skin in the. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to, take out all of my portfolio and put it into Bitcoin, but I know I've heard of people doing that. I mean, that's just.
Cash out. I'm telling you right now, strong buy.
Really, man? All right. Are you my financial advisor now? Are you advising me to do that?
Yeah, you go ahead. Go right ahead. And you can't sue me. Disclaimer, you can't sue me.
Well, Chris and I discovered the perfect portfolio. It's 50% Bitcoin, 50% Tesla.
How bad is Tesla? I didn't check. Is Tesla going down? Still going down? Or
it's been kind of flat. Like it's been kind of stuck in the 800s. And now it's gone down to the lower 800s. But it could potentially stay flat for a long time going forward. I haven't seen any real excitement about it.
I don't see it tanking till like 2023, man, at the rate that it's going. And Elon Musk on Rogan's podcast confirmed something that I've been saying to people for years about solar energy. Like, so you can only cram so much solar energy into like 1 square foot. Because Rogan was asking him, could you have a car completely powered by solar panels? And he said it's not possible by the limitations of physics. And my dude bro science, I've been telling people that for years. And they look at me like I'm a clueless idiot. And I go, listen, man, I don't talk about things I don't know about. And if I don't know, I just tell you I don't know.
Well, isn't that Warren Buffett's philosophy? Don't invest in what you don't know. I mean, isn't that his major rule?
That's why I've never bought Bitcoin. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I just can't buy Bitcoin. It's not because like you can potentially make money off of it if you put like a couple percent of your portfolio in it. Yeah. But it's so hard for me to just buy something that has no inherent value. Like I actually bought a little bit like a couple weeks ago, and then I just had to sell it because it was like making my skin crawl knowing that I own this worthless piece of crap.
What's a little bit? What's a little bit?
Like $200.
Yeah, I'm about at 150 right now on the Coinbase app, and it's just buy the haste. No, I agree. That's my philosophy too. Buy everything and hold on. Bogle said.
And
Buy
that
everything,
includes
hold on.
that includes international stocks, everybody, okay? Everybody dumps on international right now, but the haystack is the entire world. It's not just America.
Well, I haven't done it. I got to do it. You convinced me to just add total world market to my portfolio. I mean, total total U.S. market makes up the majority of my portfolio.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sell the U.S. growth mutual index fund that I have, and I'm going to buy VT with it.
Yeah.
And max out my IRA for the year, my Roth for the year.
Just looking how attractive like valuations are in Europe and Japan and emerging markets, like they're going to explode in the next couple decades. Like, why would you not be exposed to the entire world? It's just too much of an opportunity to pass up. You know, people get trapped in the recency bias where, well, U.S. did good for the last 5 years, so it's going to keep doing good forever, right? Which is not how.
What's our GDP at though? Like what is our? I mean, are we leveled out with our GDP, or are we? I mean,
should be.
We have extremely slow growth. We're like
that's what I was talking about. Yeah,
per year, whereas like China 10%, and India's probably going up. I mean, there's just a lot more potential in the developing world.
And you look at Europe. Europe basically had a flat decade, so it's like, how long is it going to do this before it starts doing that again?
Yeah, I mean, you got to buy every. I mean, I agree with you. You got to buy everything and hold on to it forever. But
for the past,
go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you go. No, I was going to say the past. I'm sorry, man.
Drew.
I'm not good. I'm not good at YouTube, bro. I'm not good at YouTube. I don't know how to YouTube, man. You first.
I was just going to say, people tech this, tech that. Well, tech's overbought. And I mean, Amazon's expensive now. It's not worth I haven't looked at it but from all the analysts that I've read, they've said it's probably worth in the $2,500 per share. But this is what all these people are doing. They're like, oh, tech was the best performing market for the past 10 years. Well, that means it's expensive now.
Yeah.
Buy value.
Yeah.
And then when value starts getting expensive, buy tech.
Yeah, or switch it around. Yeah, I mean, then we had the dot-com bubble. Everything goes in cycles. I mean, it's just I find it to be hilarious about Amazon. The people that I've run into who are like, "Oh, Amazon's evil," but I'm like, you still utilize them, don't you? you still have your Prime membership.
They mail packages to me in 2 days or less, right to my door. They're just so evil. They're ruining my life.
Well, and that's the thing that we're putting everything out of business. But I'm like, you're still using them because efficiency.
Well, if they're putting other people out of business, it's because people are choosing to shop with Amazon. So if Amazon's a better company and provides more value, then they should be the ones that continue to grow.
That's capitalism. I mean, that's just capitalism. And that's what I think is funny is that I was able to find parts for my Jeep on Amazon that I can't even find around here. I mean, and that's where I'm just like, obviously you guys are doing pretty damn good. You're offering a product that everybody can utilize. That's why Bezos is a genius. But I'm like, it's the only thing I don't understand about Amazon is how is it not a monopoly? Is it just because it's got so many different entities? Or
it's not a monopoly because I can buy from Walmart or Target.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it has tons of competitors. Like Amazon's main food store is Whole Foods, and like
exactly.
A poor person or a cheap butt, can't use the A word. A cheap butt like me, I go to Walmart.
Whole paychecks.
Whole paycheck. Yeah, it's like if you're a frugal person or you don't make a lot of money, why would you go to Whole Foods? Like, there's no way that's ever going to be a monopoly.
Target is even overpriced for me. I go to Walmart and I get 5 to 12 thin sliced steaks for the week. Cook them up at once. Yeah. That's what I eat throughout the week.
Target is trash. Right? Their food section sucks. All their stuff is overpriced, and the only reason people like it is because it's pretty and they pay people $15 an hour. But it's trash.
But Walmart's great because they appeal to. They appeal to I mean, they're everywhere. You're not going to see a Target in some small town in West Virginia.
And And they even have the one pretentious drink I drink, which is kombucha.
Oh, you drink
Walmart
kombucha,
has it now. Huh?
God, you're such an elitist.
I know I'm an elitist prick because I drink kombucha. But
We're gonna have to kick you
that's
off.
my.
What's up?
I have to kick Naugy off the live stream.
He's turned elitist. Next thing you know, I'm walking around with an Afghan hound as a dog, the most pretentious dog ever.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I've been listening to you guys for a little bit. Like, what got you to put your foot in your ass to save and invest? I mean, I know you're a CPA, and but like, was it the military and people? Like, I try to learn from other people's mistakes. That's what
I made all the mistakes you can make.
Gotcha.
So what got me into investing is basically going to school for finance and then just being on YouTube, listening to a lot of these guys and I'm like, how does this half retarded 20-year-old think that he should be giving advice on what stocks to buy when
dude, bro.
People find out I majored in finance and they ask me where to invest and I say index funds. And then I'm like, because the average investor is shite. But I made all the mistakes. I wasn't educated on it. And honestly, what made me start to get into investing was my uncle died in 2008 when I was in Iraq, and he left me Bank of New York shares. And I was like, do I sell these? What do I do with these? And I'm like, you know what? Let me just hold on to them. And, I just held on to them and just compounding interest. But I got lucky when I got out of the military in 2010. I took all my money because I didn't know what to do with it, and I put it into the Vanguard Wellington Fund and the Vanguard Healthcare Fund.
Gotcha. I've got that one.
Let it ride. Didn't touch it, and then started learning when I was in college, and then when I was out of college, I just kept learning. And I mean, if people think it's really complicated that you need a finance degree, I know a nurse at work who would beat the brakes off of Chris and I at the same time in investing knowledge. He was the one who taught me about a gamma squeeze. I go, what's a gamma squeeze? He goes, oh, that's with the puts and the options. I go, oh, okay. But there's no reason for me to know that because I don't invest in that. There's such a wide dearth. Get out of here with your puts and options. I'm long-term value investor. And then I follow Sven Carlin in like his investment philosophy.
Yeah,
so
I just can't believe in the last 8 years, just by maxing out everything, and kind of and putting a huge chunk aside out of my paycheck each month where you don't even see it, how much it just accumulates. I mean, it really is. And I just think of it as a game. I'm just like, I got the app on my phone. I'm just like, well, let's see how this is going. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good day, and then when it goes down, I'm like, well, time to buy.
All right, let me ask. So, can you guys explain why one would buy VT versus VT wax? So, really, there's not much of a difference. Now, the price doesn't matter. The price that you're going to pay for one share is basically irrelevant because they can create any number of shares at any price. But the difference is if you have VT in a taxable account, it's actually a little bit more tax efficient because ETFs they're not incurring as many capital gains because the ETF producer literally just creates the shares and then they just hold on to the securities. Whereas in a mutual fund, they're constantly buying and selling and redeeming shares to shareholders, and that creates more taxable events. So, I mean, if you're going to hold it in a taxable account, you want VT. If you want to just make an easy auto invest where you don't have to think about it, you just set up $500 a month or whatever, then do VT Wax. Because in that case, you don't have to worry about going and buying VT during the trading day. But honestly, like either way, you're going to be fine. Like I have VT in my Roth, and VT Wax would be great too, but I have it at Fidelity. So it's mostly personal preference unless you have it in a taxable account.
Yeah.
And I just read an article about this the other day. ETFs are going to come to dominate the industry. They're just too convenient with their low fees too. Their fees are generally lower. I don't know what the fee is on VT Wax, but I would think that the expense ratio is lower on VT.
I think one is like 0.01 more. Like the difference is almost irrelevant. It's just that,
Okay.
if you're an automatic investor and you don't want to log in at 9:30 and buy freaking shares of VT, well, then you want to do VT Wax. But if you like watching your shares fluctuate and you want a little bit more tax efficiency, okay, then you can buy VT. But at the end of the day, you're not going to go wrong with either one.
Yeah, I just like sticking to mutual funds and knowing that my money's in there. I'm not a big fan of ETFs. I just like everything just going in there and maxing everything out, knowing that it's in there. I mean, my rule is just I max everything out at the beginning of the year. And
you're not going to.
What's up?
You're not going to go wrong with that. You're not going to go wrong with that approach. You're
no,
going to be
that's
sitting in.
That's my rule. Is like at the first of every year, I save up about $6,000 and I just put it in there. And that way, psychologically, if something's going on, I'm just like, well, it's already in there. So I'm not, I wouldn't do that because I think I have the mental fortitude to, I know I have the mental fortitude, but it's like, you don't ever want to be hesitant to not invest.
Oh yeah, no, and one big disadvantage with ETFs is like people might get hesitant to buy because they're watching the market and the ETF's fluctuating, and they're like, oh, well, maybe if it drops a little bit, then I'll buy it. And you're expending too much energy. You just go ahead and freaking buy the security. Just go buy it. It doesn't matter what the price is right now at this second. So that's kind of another thing that
you have to explain. Time. The most important thing is time in the market.
And compound interest,
timing the market, time that you spend in the market is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I've never sold anything in my TSP except for like minor reallocations, and that's by far my biggest balance. And all I literally did was put money in every freaking month, and I just let it ride. And that's all you have to do. That's so easy. There's no thought, just put freaking money in.
What's your TSP? What's your TSP made up of? Mine's 75% S and then 25% I.
Are you asking me or Drew?
Either one of you.
Doesn't matter. You transferred out of your TSP, didn't you, Drew?
Yeah, I rolled it. So when I got out of the military, I rolled it into the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. That's
you didn't buy Tesla?
No, man. Well, this is back in 2030. Sorry, I wasn't.
Your retirement is shot now. You didn't buy Tesla. You are completely screwed.
I'm not the dude, bro, that I am now. Okay, like I'm not gonna take all of my stuff and put it in Bitcoin like everybody's telling me I should. Like every dude, bro, on the street in Colorado is like, "Oh yeah, bro, I'm totally telling you, man. That's where it's at is Bitcoin." And I'm just like, "How do you fucking know this, dude?" And I like to play around but some of the shit. What did you call it? Bro science.
Bro science.
That shit is rampant out here.
Bro science. Dude, I said on stage the other night, I'm like, I can't wait till the stock market crashes so I don't have to listen to you fucking you bro investors giving me investment advice when we're standing around after I get off stage. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm working on an entire bit about like the advice that I get where I'm like, no, my buddy who's in ROTC, he keeps showing me, he's like, yeah, dude, C3M. And I go, how many times do I have to tell you targeted date fund or total stock market?
Go ahead.
You know what scares the shit out of me? I got a really good buddy of mine who's pretty smart, but he does the financial advisor thing. And I'm like, and I love it because it's always like, I've got a guy. I've got this guy. He knows how. And I'm like, you are playing with fucking fire, dude. And he's older. He's older than, he's immensely older than I am. And I'm like, good for you at this moment. But, he's like, oh, my portfolio is up this amount. And I'm like, but you can just do this, in Vanguard, and you can do this doing it. I don't know. I mean, I've been preaching to the choir like you guys have, but nobody's listening to me.
We're not going to win until the market crashes or there's a long sustained bear market, because everybody that preaches like value investing or index funds, if it's a bull market and all these crazy hot stocks just keep going up and up and up, everybody thinks we're idiots. But
the party's never going to end. That's the thing. And that's where I've, in my lifetime, I've lived through two of these shit shows, 08, well, three actually, 87, 08 now. And I'm just like the party, but whenever we're in the good times, nobody ever thinks it's going to end. And I have it in my mind because I've lived through this. It can end. I mean, any of this stuff, and then on top of that, my mindset that I think a lot of people, because I get the same kind of shit you do, where it's like, oh man, what should I do? I mean, the market's, it's crashing. What should I do? I'm like, this is the fucking time to buy, dude. Like, you're getting shit pennies on the dollar, and all you're doing is betting that the U.S. economy will be in the long term better, and it will. I mean, that's historically it has.
The only way you'll get screwed is if there's a nuclear war. That's
of course.
That's the
and
only
then we're
way.
all fucked. You're dead anyways, and you're all fucked.
But that's what I tell people. If the total world stock market goes to zero, you have bigger problems than you lost your environment. You should have invested in lead at that point.
Yeah, you should have put in 556 and 223. Yeah, exactly.
All 8,000 stocks in the world are zero. Could you imagine that?
Yeah. And what's also interesting about this whole thing, because I'm an economics person like you guys are, I mean, it seems like the most important things throughout this pandemic are weed, pizza, guns, and booze. And I'm like, how do I invest in that? I mean,
that's the sin stocks, man. They always go up in hard times. Right after 2008, man, people were piling into the booze. But what I was going to tell you is, when people are like, I keep saying, it's a bubble, and they're like, no, there's no bubble. I go, okay, dude, do you realize that I had a woman who knows absolutely nothing about investing tell me she wanted to buy Tesla stock? And when I asked her for a reason why, she said, it's because everybody else is talking about the stock. And then I explained to her what a shoe shine boy stock tip was. I was like, this is how much, even us bro level financiers, this is how much we respect you. We just kind of look at
story. I have a story. Let me answer this real quick, and I have a story after this for a real.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to grab myself another beverage. I'll be right back.
So, regarding this question, I mean, well, what ETFs are you looking at? Like, if you're looking at like ARK ETFs, yeah, they're expensive because they're actively managed ETFs. But ETFs in general are actually usually cheaper than mutual funds. So whatever one you're looking at is probably just an actively managed ETF because they were designed to be as passive and tax efficient as possible. So if you let us know which one you're looking at, we can check it out for you. But dude,
wait, one more before you go. If you're looking at ARK Invest ETFs, the K fund is up 152% in the past year. Last time I checked. Take your profits. Anytime something like that is up 152%, I'm taking the profits off of my U.S. growth fund at 58% in the past year. I'm taking those. I'm locking that in because that's not realistic.
Here, I'm going to look up these expense VT ETF. I thought they were only like 0.1 different.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, so the VT is 0.09. No, 0.08. And then VT Wax is...
Can you look up whole life insurance while you're at it? I'm thinking about getting some.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, so the VT Wax is 0.02 more. So that's really like insignificant, to be honest. So it's not. There's no.
I'd have.
Oh, so it's solely based on the number of shares. So the fund has a certain amount of shares or a certain amount of investments, and they take that investment number and they divide it by the number of shares, and that's how they determine the price of the security. So the cost, how much you pay for it, is literally irrelevant. It's what you're buying inside of it. Because they could even do like a share split if they really wanted to, and that would cut the price in half. So the price is irrelevant. I wouldn't worry about the price. You can do fractional shares with Fidelity. So you can buy VT fractionally with whatever dollar amount you want. Or you could just do an automatic investment into VT Wax in Vanguard, and whatever amount you put in there, they'll give you like parts of a share. So the price is irrelevant. I wouldn't worry about it.
What's the minimum investment? Isn't it like usually 3,000 for Vanguard?
Yeah, Vanguard is 3,000. But if you want to buy ETFs, I think you don't have to have a minimum for an ETF. So you can buy fractional shares on Fidelity.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because, like, obviously, I'm still on the fence with the total bond market index. Like, what do you think of that? Like, that's something that I was thinking about adding to my portfolio, because obviously, I don't know. I'm 34 now. I don't know when I should start kind of diversifying into bonds, like really hitting it hard, or do you think I should hold
Can I
off on
jump
that?
into this?
Go ahead.
I'm actually, if you're looking for bond exposure, man, why not just do a balanced fund? Or, the Vanguard Wellington. They're just,
I have, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, how many? You have a bunch of pensions you're going to get, and you already have like a bunch of steady streams of income you expect to get in retirement.
Yeah, I'm expecting. I mean, with my pension, and then I've got other stuff coming in. I mean, yeah, that's I hope. I mean, you never know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the thing with, like, the more guaranteed incomes you're probably going to have in retirement, the less you have to worry about transitioning into bonds. But I mean, you should start, and it's based on what your retirement pension is going to be. So if you have no pension and you don't trust Social Security, which I think that's a good idea. Maybe you can use your age.
You don't think Social Security is going to be there when we're both old and decrepit? You don't think so?
It'll be there, but you'll get like $5 a month.
It's going to be substantially less.
What did Reagan say? What did Reagan say? We're here from the government. We're the most terrifying words. We're here from the government. We're here to help.
Yeah, I just heard that the other day.
Do you know how mad Social Security makes me? So they take your money, right, and they give it to grandma, so you don't have an account. And they freaking when they have excess money, they keep it in this like fiduciary fund or this trust fund. And guess what they invest in the trust fund?
Please tell. I have no clue. Please tell me.
Like
Bitcoin.
It would probably be better with Bitcoin, but they literally bought government treasuries, which is like the worst performing asset over the long run. So like, even though if you pay extra money into the system, well, that money is just sitting there growing with a crap return. What if they had just not taxed you in the first place? You could have bought a total world stock market index with 6% of your paycheck.
Well, I think a lot of pension plans and a lot of I think that a lot of people are not paying into Social Security. I think that's starting to be a thing. I think a lot of some of these retirement plans and work are just like that offer retirement plans and pensions are just like, we're not paying into Social Security. So I don't think that's allowed.
I think you have to.
Do you have to? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
So there's like some of the older systems, like if you had like a the old school civil
service, the civil service stuff. Yeah.
They didn't pay into Social Security. And then you have like the railroad, but like the vast majority of people, you are mandated to pay Social Security.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I heard like if you were in a certain pension plan, they were going to pay into your pension plan instead of Social Security. I don't know what the rules are with that, but yeah, I know Social Security is a fucking shit show. It's not going to be around, or it's going to be very, very little when.
How much better would it have been if we just said, or you could do it now, if you just implemented a program where you said, okay, look, everybody's going to pay into it, and you're just going to buy a total world fund.
Dude, that would solve all our problems.
But that makes too much sense. That makes too much sense.
Well, it's all based on politics. Like the old people, they want their little check because it's guaranteed by the government. So they're constantly they're gonna vote for politicians that love Social Security. So we're kind of trapped in this perpetual downward spiral where the older people who outnumber the younger people keep voting to maintain Social Security. The only solution is to raise taxes more or cut benefits, and they're not going to cut benefits. So
I think AOC is going to save us from everything. I think she's our savior. I think
GDP is right now. Does she know what our debt to GDP is right now?
I think you should call. I think you should invite her on the podcast. I think you should. I think he's just.
What are we at? 27 trillion. What are we at? 27 trillion to a
like
GDP.
20. Yeah, we're at like 28 or something, and we have it's like 130% of our GDP, which is freaking huge. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And how much of that is student debt? Are we at 1.8 or are we at 1.7? I think it still keeps going up. I mean, there's literally a clock and a number.
Yeah.
How much student debt just keeps going up. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like we talked about it, it's criminal. But at a certain point, too, I'm also of the school of thought like you took on debt.
Yeah, but it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. You know, I think you got to go dude bro it up, and you know, and that
dude bro finance. Like, but it's like it comes down to I'm not without my sympathy and people. Oh, you're just heartless.
Well, there's so many other. Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's so many other. There's more than one way to skin a cat, dude. I mean, like community college, military, everything. You could have this whole motherfucker paid for. You know, with
I went to 2 years of community college with the GI Bill to get back in college shape because I didn't feel like I should waste the government's money until I was actually. Well, I didn't, but I shouldn't go to an actual 4-year university until I had brushed up on everything.
So did you?
So that's a guy with a GI Bill went to community college. Like
it's the best. It's the best route. I think that. I don't know, man. I don't know if a lot of these colleges, unless they're getting into an online platform, you know, I think that they're screwed. I mean, there's no way that these colleges can, because I think at the end of the day, the feds are, because I think if you're going to forgive student loans, you got to stop giving them out. I mean, it's obviously, unless we're having certain stipulations where it's like, it's got to be STEM or something like, you know, there's a ROI.
I'm a fan of this. If you want to forgive the student debt, then these colleges are going to suffer. The student debt is forgiven by taking money out of the endowments to the college. It's not contingent upon the taxpayers, which these colleges have enriched themselves selling fake degrees. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. If your degree doesn't at least have to take calculus, or it's a language, like English is a real degree, Spanish is a real degree. But if your degree doesn't have math, it's not a real degree.
Accounting
Sorry if you don't like
calculus.
Huh?
Yeah. Accounting doesn't have calculus.
Yes, it does.
Nope.
Hey, my master's is.
I'll take that back then. Accounting. I thought accounting you had to go through business calc. Accounting's a skill, anyways. I've told you it's a better degree than finance, but I'm pretty sure at the University of South Florida, the accounting majors here had to go through calculus.
Yeah, well, some schools might make you do that, but I think the vast majority don't, because like even as a CPA, like there's no calculus. The only thing you need to know really is statistics, maybe a little bit.
Well, can you divide and add? Because that's all you really need for finance anyways. But I mean,
that's all you need for accounting, man. Add, subtract, divide, multiply. Good to go.
And yet
I stand corrected, but I'm still pretty firm on, like, I'm majoring in poli-sci, not a real degree.
Unless you go to law school, and even law school is like.
But then your law degree is a real degree.
You know, but my master's is in public administration, and you know, and I it's worked out pretty well for me. So I think you know, I agree with you there. But if you have a specific route, you know, you want to go on, like I did, it's worked out pretty well for me. So
I'm being a bit facetious. I'm not married to that idea, but I'm just saying, like, when you look at me and you're like, I'm going to school for psychiatry. I'm like, okay, but at a 4-year level, it's not a real degree because I never went to school for psychiatry, and I probably know more than a 22-year-old who just graduated with a degree in psychology. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, like, some of these colleges, like, you know, as long as it's regionally accredited, you know, by the U.S. Department of Education, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter where you go to school at the end of the day. I mean,
no, all that matters, like, you want to get a certification afterwards. Like, I went to a crappy school to get my accounting degree. It wasn't prestigious, but I was like, well, I know I'm getting a certification right afterwards. And as soon as I get that certification, the school won't freaking matter. So, you're right. The school doesn't matter at all.
I thought that they were going to start making accounting majors go get their master's before they tested for their CPA, or maybe you were before that. I didn't.
No. So basically how it works is you need 150 credit hours. Those don't have to be master's credit hours. So actually, I only have 2 bachelor's degrees right now. So that's how I was able
Only, yeah, only.
I only have 2 bachelors. How
Only.
many do you have?
You should go back and get your doctorate in accounting.
Well, I'm working on my master's right now, but I'm done after this, man. I mean, I think I can make enough money just doing freaking tutoring or teaching like community college. Getting a doctorate in accounting is just too much.
I'm being facetious. I'm going. I mean, I've got the rest of my GI Bill that I'm kind of thinking to go back to get my MBA, but it would help where I'm going.
Dude, if it helps, do it. If you still got the GI Bill, man,
you get that BAH. Just make the money.
Yeah, and then I can party and just put all the beer in my living room and just get all the party rocking, dude, all the time.
All the chicks.
I thought about getting an MBA, but I was like, there's kind of a glut of MBA graduates.
Well, even Elon Musk was saying today I heard Elon Musk talking today, and he's like, "What's the problem with corporate America?" And he goes, "We've got too many MBAs running corporations." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to run a corporation, so I'm good."
I actually thought about going back to school and getting a master's in marketing, just because I'm kind of interested in it, and it's an interesting combo between a bachelor's in finance and a master's in marketing. But
I think as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you have a path and you know how to get there and it helps you, and it doesn't put you in a massive amount of debt, I'm all for it. I'm not a fan of people going into, and I get into arguments with people about this, and I'm like, you are killing yourself by doing this. Like, and I've told, it's really funny. I had my friend come out here, and it was like his daughter was like going to get wants to go to Georgetown. And that school, it's ridiculous. And he goes, well, she got into her dream school. And I said, and what she could be doing, I forget what it was, but she could go in the military and then, do exactly what she wanted to do and have them pay for it. And I said, dude, this is a really bad idea, because they were like, oh, she wants to take out student loans. And I'm sitting there going like, and he goes, oh, I know, man, but I can't talk to my wife and get it in her head that this is a good idea. And I'm like, oh my God. So the cycle will continue. I mean, it's going to continue until the wheels fall off. And it's just,
I'm going through that right now. I'm going through that right now with my brother. My brother is doing the mental math. He knows, and I know, that we're indebting my niece by allowing her to continue to go to the University of West Virginia, which baited and switched her. Huh?
Really? That's an expensive school, Morgantown, like that West Virginia University. How much is the tuition there? Well, that's out of state.
$30,000, man. I come from a blue collar family, dude. She's going to school for nursing, and then they did a little bait and switch on her. She didn't get into the nursing program with a 3.8 GPA, and they're like, oh, you can become a dental hygienist. And I'm like, I was talking to my brother. I'm like, yo, tell her to go in there and take a dump on the dean's desk for that. They've already indebted her. I'm like, are you kidding me? And my sister-in-law doesn't want to listen. The rest of the family, they're like, oh, no, she's young. She should have fun. I'm like, okay,
yeah, but
it looks like
this is destroying an entire generation of kids. This isn't like, I will tell you this. The one
Uncle Jason must now become a famous stand-up comedian to pay off his niece's student debts. That's what has to happen.
Has she subscribed to Strongman Personal Finance yet?
No, but she will be. She will be, because maybe she'll listen to you, because she doesn't listen.
No, give her the book. Give her the book.
I'm gonna order that and mail that home to my brother. I swear to God, I'm gonna do that.
Well, you want to know what's funny is that I read Aaron Clary's book Worthless, about the all the worthless degrees. And I tried to give that to a woman's son who was going to college. And I said, you probably should read this. She took it away from me. She goes, no, I don't want him reading that. I want him to follow his passion. And I'm just like, all right.
And that's just the word of dirty brainwashing, man. You can't break the brainwashing. You just got to let him go.
I got unplugged I unplugged in 2014 after I got out of the military, and things were vastly different even from 5-6 years before. I mean, from when I went to college, and I'm just like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. I mean, the cost of college skyrocketed in that time. And, after that, I saw things a lot differently, because kind of like you were talking about in your book, the consumerism mindset. It's like you don't need to upgrade to the newest phone. You don't need to get into this. You don't need to be. I think the biggest mental disease we have in this country is when I see people camping out for sneakers in the middle of the night. I'm just like, I don't get it. I would think that my time.
When you do the math on what I make between my disability and my job, I make more than the average family. Every single piece of furniture in my house right now is a trash pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
at my old apartment complex, I'd be like, that's a nice chair that somebody threw out. That's the one I'm sitting in now. Wheel that into my apartment. TV stand behind me. Somebody put that out by the dumpster. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's got years of use. Roll that into my apartment.
Did you Lysol all this stuff?
No.
I think the only thing that I had when I moved in here, I bought a badass couch when I got back from deployment back in 2012, and that was kind of like my. And now I have that, and that's it. And the bed and the computers that I have are probably, and the toys that I got, which I'm not.
Well, I did drop $2,500 on a bed, but
that's fine.
It's a ghost bed. It's a ghost bed, and it's got cooling gel over top of it to keep me nice and cold while I'm snuggled under my blankets. A third of my life in that thing.
The Nectar bed I bought is the best investment I've ever made. I mean, it's like a hospital. Yeah, it's like a smart bed. It's like it's got a remote and everything like that, so it's got TV mode and all kinds of stuff. I love it. It's the best investment I've ever made. But
does it have a vibrator built into it?
It actually does. It vibrates. It's got a massage.
My ghost bed can vibrate too. It's so great. Dude, you get into it, right? And it's like you're sleeping in the middle of the night. You might wake up and you're a little bit hot. You just go over a little bit and it's cold. I can't rave enough about it. But you're right, the consumerist mindset, and I'm not a religious man, but this is something. There's a reason why the Quran and the Bible warn against debt. I think the quote in the Bible is, "He who takes on debt becomes a slave to the lender." Ramsey said that, and it stuck in my head one.
Yeah, Ramsey says that quite a bit. I mean, it's unbelievable. I got a buddy of mine who's pulling in $130K a year. Now he just got divorced. He was another divorce victim through all of this, and he makes so much money. And I'm like, and I'm better financially off than he is, and I don't make nearly as much. And I'm like, dude, there's something wrong with this. Like there's something going on here. And he goes, I know, man. I just bought stuff. I was trying to, and it literally was. He was just trying to impress people. And
I mean, I say you're either freedom obsessed or you're status obsessed. Now, if you're freedom obsessed, then you save money so you can have enough money to live on your own and do whatever thing that you actually want to do that you're passionate about. Yeah, but if you're status obsessed, then you worry about what college you go to. Then you worry about what job title you have. Then you worry about your freaking car and your house. Those are the two opposites, and you have to choose one. And if you choose the status one, well, you're going to be freaking working in debt your whole life.
Well, and that's the crack.
I wear the same coat I bought when I was 21 years old. I'm 42 now. I've had it for 21 years. I still wear it.
Yeah, it's in the amount of stuff you accumulate over the years, and then you just throw out every year, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it really. I think what is it? We consume most of the world's resources. Like we're the most developed, but we consume the most. I mean, it really is nuts. I mean, it really is just. I really do think that, and I don't know if we can stop that mindset. I mean, like I think the biggest thing my family did with us, because all of me and my brothers. I mean, my dad drilled it Vanguard. From the day I was born, Vanguard.
I wish my dad.
Yeah, and he was just like, and what he also told us and got into our heads is that cars are fucking stupid. I mean, I'm a motorcycle guy. I love bikes. I mean, that's my thing. But overall, it's like, who gives a shit if you're driving a Prius or any of this other shit? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're hanging out with people that care about that stuff, then you really shouldn't be hanging out with them anyways. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
Chris and I talked about this like one time on the podcast. It's like, if we both had a neighbor and the neighbor showed up to impress us with his new pickup truck that cost him $7,000. Yeah. We're both like, we would just be so turned off and unimpressed by that. We would be impressed by the guy showing up. How much do you think I paid for this? We're like, I don't know, like $5,000. Nah, I got it for $3,000, dude. Like, oh, that's a nice shitty little pickup truck, man. I like what you're doing there.
Dude,
my
neighbor just bought like a fully loaded Tesla SUV. And he's like a young guy. He's like a young guy. I'm like, dude, if you invested that money, 50, 60, 70 grand, how freaking rich would you be?
Is that how much
like
one was going for? 50 or 60? Oh, that was enough. Yeah, dude. I mean, this is insane. Like my neighbor, I tried to help him out during this because I used to commute to work quite a bit, like 45 minutes away. So I bought a junker vehicle. I bought a 2010 Hyundai Accent for like $3,000. Nice. And because I wasn't using it anymore, I just, he works in construction, and I was like, here, man, you use it, pay the insurance on it, and you got it. And then it got to the point where I'm like, well, just pay it. Well, just pay it off. Let's go as a pay-as-you-go plan. And he ended up, so I gave him the title the other day, and I said, because he got his car repossessed. I'm really trying to help this guy out. Like, he's a really good dude. He is a good dude. And I said, well, I'm like, I really want this to help you out with your life and kind of get you out of debt. And he had some trouble. He goes, and guess what he's going to do? He's going to fucking go and sell it along with the equity in the place that his girlfriend, his fiance owns, and go buy a new Ford Bronco for 60. I mean, it's just.
I think it's like ingrained in the human mind to like consume now because, maybe in the past you didn't have a lot of resources, and whatever you had, you needed to consume to, realize the benefit of it. Because like all these financial assets, these never existed, in ancient times. Stocks, how long have those been around? 500 years, maybe?
I think since the 1870s. I think that's when the New York Stock Exchange. I don't know, but I think that's what I read.
I know like the Virginia colonies, they were actually stockholders, that the people they were investors in the Virginia colonies. So I know they've been around since like the 60s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the Dutch East India Company, you'd be a shareholder too. So we would be going back to like the 1500s.
Yeah. So you were an officer in the Army. So you had a front row seat to this shit show with people making stupid decisions like with money. I mean, I think that was one of the biggest wake up calls for me too. Was like, when I lived down where I was stationed at, I watched a kid, did it all at once, got married, bought a brand new Dodge Charger for like $35,000 with a 90% interest rate on it. And just made these stupid decisions. And I'm just like, that's kind of what woke me up to this stuff. And
even that doesn't wake people up. I mean, I soldiers did the same thing. Like I had a guy, literally his entire paycheck was consumed by his car payment and his insurance. So my squad leader had to go over the weekend with this guy, take him to the car dealership, and basically have him return the freaking car. And he was able to get out of the contract, but I mean, still, his whole paycheck.
That's crazy. So this is like some 18-year-old private, just.
And he was a piece of crap. He eventually got kicked out of the Army, but I mean,
it's not very hard nowadays.
I drove a 1996 GMC Sonoma that I bought for $7,000. People would make fun of me because at one point I had duct tape holding on the side mirror because the dude kicked it off in my parking lot, and I just didn't care. So I was like, duct tape. People would make fun of me, and I'd look at him and I'd be like, yeah, but I don't have a car payment. I'm like, I love that truck, dude.
I had a 93 Ford Ranger, dude. 93 Ford Ranger. The biggest piece of shit I ever owned. But it got the job done. In the transmit, I had to replace the transmission for like, I don't know, $1,500, but it was still better than buying a you know, and then I saved up another amount for a car for cash. And, you know, I think that's the biggest, like, I think cars are so overpriced.
No, I'm telling you, it's cars and homes are the two reasons that Americans can't have millions of dollars in retirement. That they are literally the only reason. People buy too much house, or they constantly have a car payment. And one car payment plus insurance is like maxing a Roth. You could max your Roth every year by cutting out a car payment and an insurance payment. That is the only reason Americans are poor.
So how many McMansions do you think are going to get foreclosed on during this shit show?
A bunch, dude. Well, they've run this stupid philosophy that you don't have to pay rent. I mean, it's like, okay, but you do realize that a landlord's job is landlord. So they have bills.
It's not your friend, dude. And that's the problem, is that you know, eventually the party's got to end, and you got to allow some of these houses to get foreclosed on. And I don't know how long the government's going to allow, you know, not to say that I'm not empathetic towards people that, you know, because people have fallen on some really hard times, but what about the people that were legitimately not paying their rent?
Well, a lot of people fell on hard times because of government interference. I would get into arguments with people all the time. I'm like, you assume the amount of risk that you want to assume. So if you're elderly and you have 2 or more underlying conditions, you probably need to shelter in place. But at this point, you should be retired. COVID is not really a threat to 20-year-olds. Open up. That's why I'm glad I live in Florida. We shut down for like 2 weeks. Then there were some restrictions. And then they were like, you know what? It's Florida, man. Just do whatever you want to do.
I know my friend went down for the Super Bowl party down in Tampa. And said it was just a complete shit show. I mean, they said it was awesome. Surprised. We haven't been overrun by COVID deaths from the Super Bowl. Like they were predicting that we were going to be. Maybe it's, you know, I don't know. It's beyond me. Like how many lives did Gavin Newsom and his stupid, we're not going to show you the data because you might not be able to interpret it. Like I guarantee you I'm smarter than Gavin Newsom is. I'll just throw it out there right now, 100%.
He has nicer hair than you.
That dude wants to debate me. I'll fly to California and debate him. But, you know, it's like how many lives were destroyed by government interference? You're arresting a Staten Island bar owner when 4 blocks away another bar is open.
Yeah, it's total inconsistency with all of this. And it's state to state. And, you know, I don't know. It really is unbelievable to see the amount of inconsistency that's going on with all of this. But you know, I'm just kind of like, hey man, I'm going to keep doing my thing. I'm going to keep saving money. I'm going to keep investing. And that's what I think is ironic about these things. It's like, well, the economy is going to shit. So let's stop investing. And I'm like, that's not how this works, man. You need to keep going unless you lose your job or something. I get it. But you really shouldn't be. The whole idea is, like you say, it's to be consistent.
I mean, you build your fortune in down markets. You build it by not selling when the market's down and by buying stuff on the cheap. That's how you get rich.
I've met, you know, a girl that I dated. That's how her father made hundreds of millions of dollars, just buying all of those homes, on the, you know, all those foreclosed homes in 2008. Like they just went in and just bought these developments, and then pennies on the dollar. I mean, and that's what's happening right now with the housing stuff because the interest rates are so low. People are able to come in and just buy these houses up.
Hey, that's why I accelerated buying my house because I was like, oh my God, interest rates are so low. I'm going to go right now. Yep. So I just went and boom and
that's
bought
why
it.
I did it too.
Yep.
That's why I did it too.
I know you're against 15-year mortgages, but I had such a good deal. I mean, it's like for what I'm paying for this place, I just said fuck it, you know, and
it's not the end of the world that you have I mean, like it's not going to kill you that you have one, but like when you look at it from like a total financial perspective, you can invest that extra money, but you're not going to die, you know.
But I was already putting that extra money towards it anyways. I just didn't want it going towards the interest. I mean, that was my whole thing. And I bought this place super cheap anyways. I was just like, you know what? Let's just accelerate this because at the end of the day, you know, you get, like you say, your investing strategy has to stay the same. You can't change it up.
Well,
never change it. Never.
The good thing for you, though, is you're talking about being able to pay this off and you want to move to a less populated area. But the good thing is people are rushing into Denver. You're going to make money off of this. You know what I mean? So
it's fucking crazy. It is fucking nuts right now. I mean, the supply,
dude,
but
if I'm down I'm not like when I retire, the odds of me staying in Clearwater are virtually nil. I'll move somewhere up into the Florida Panhandle because up there, like after I sell my Clearwater home, it's going to be worth way more. I'll go up there, buy a house for a fraction of what I made on this, invest the rest, and then I have income streams.
Well, I think like a lot of people now, because I think Vegas was the hardest hit back in 08, if I remember correctly. And now everybody from LA, because California's so out of control, everybody is moving to Vegas. And Vegas is blowing up now. You know, and I have friends of mine who are looking at places. You can get a house down there for nothing. So I don't know how long that's going to last. And Vegas has got the Raiders and the hockey team and all this other stuff other than the gambling. So it's a lot more, you know, fun town to go to on top of what it was. And you know, you got the military down there and you got all kinds of stuff. So it's interesting. A lot of, you know, the working remote stuff, nobody needs an office space anymore. And I just don't know what's going to happen with all of this empty office space. Like
it'll if we rely on capitalism, it'll get repurposed into something. It's just, you know, I mean, obviously I don't think we're going to fall to communism, but like, I don't like either party in complete control of the government, even though I tend to vote Republican. I don't want the Republicans to have complete control of the government. And I trust them more than I trust the Democrats. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, look at what's happening now. We're talking about a wealth. I mean, I don't know Biden's policy. You know, Chris, maybe you know this more than I do. I don't know. I don't know what his wealth tax. I mean, we're always punishing the wealthy. And
he's not a socialist. He's basically like standard Obama, maybe Bush-ish. Like he's not anything different than your standard boring politician. So don't expect any like radical socialist policies. They'll just kind of like virtue signal and make it seem like they're making.
Yeah, well, do you actually think that this whole thing, the student loan thing, is going to go through? Do you think they're actually going to be able to push this through Congress? I think
they'll write off like $5,000 maybe.
Yeah, and that's
do some pissant write-off amount.
But wasn't it true that a lot of it, that what it's aiming towards is actually going towards people like this, pay off the student loans of people that can actually pay them off? I mean, like the people at the most. Like I heard about that. So
that's the biggest irony of this whole thing is that people are talking about the student loan thing for equity. It's only going to help wealthier people. Like, you know, there's been a lot of times where I've wanted to just start walking around explaining to people like, should wealthy pay more taxes? Like, should corporations pay more taxes? And then when they're shaking yes, be like, you got a 401k? Like, yeah. Okay. Well, those corporations that are making your retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're paying higher taxes. Chris and I took the rare position that corporations shouldn't pay taxes. People should.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's the whole thing now. If we're gonna tax corporate America, all those whatever jobs are coming are just going to go offshore. I mean, but you know, I think what Chris, what really got me going like years and years ago, I read Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. That was a book that really, I'm like, if you break it down to that, and people could be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But everybody needs a feel good story. everybody needs a feel good story, and everybody needs to like have the boogeyman and be like, you know, you're bad, and you know, you should feel sorry for me. I'm like, nah, you need to take accountability for your situation and do what you can to get out of it.
I mean, because like I just recently read that book too, and like the main thing with economics, it's all about cause and effect. There's no good or bad or evil. It's just like if you do this policy, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. You have to weigh the benefits. You know, there's not like one switch that's going to make everybody happy and wealthy and secure. Every policy has an impact, and people need to see both sides of it and really understand what's going on.
There's a ripple effect. One rental at a time.
One rental at a time is true. Dude, well, when when Thomas Sowell explains, there's a YouTube video where he explains that poverty was dropping until the war on poverty.
Yeah, under LBJ, yeah.
Poverty.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I give people the example. I'm like, oh, you don't think capitalism works? I'm like, this is the only country in the world where people can go protest capitalism and then have somebody get out their iPhone and order Uber Eats to the place where they're protesting capitalism.
Or the people that are protesting capitalism all have MacBook Pros and all this other shit. And that's where I'm just like, or these yeah. I mean,
the whole thing is amazing because like you can order whatever you want online and it gets shipped.
Unbelievable! It's incredible.
And it's cheap. Like it's mind blowing. The phones that we have. I remember when I had a freaking little crappy X phone.
Well, I find it to be unbelievable. We take all of this for granted. I can get on kayak.com or whatever, buy a plane ticket, go to the airport, hop on, and be anywhere in like a couple hours. And that's all from a phone. I mean, you don't need a travel agent. You don't need any of this stuff. We are totally into total efficiency stage of this country. And that's where I'm just like, this is unbelievable. But
Walmart was selling a 55-inch flat screen TV for like $450 the other day. I was like, too bad I'm too cheap and I don't watch enough TV to justify that. But I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm looking at it. Like, I remember when TVs were like this big and this thick and weighed 400 pounds.
Well, do you guys think that movie theaters are done? I mean, unless it's a novelty movie theater. I mean, out here, I'm thinking that it's probably, smoke a beer and not smoke a beer. I mean, smoke a joint.
I wish I could smoke a beer. Yeah.
Smoke a joint and then drink a beer and do the Amsterdam thing. I think that's the only way this stuff is going to work.
I think
they can adapt, they can make it more luxurious.
Yeah.
I think for blockbusters, movie theaters will be around, but I think smaller movies, the destination is to streaming services. That's why that's why I think Jeremy is a clown. With this, I'm all in on AMC. Only I'm just gonna put in 10,000 speculative dollars because I make millions in YouTube. I'm a genius.
Do you know who Jeremy is, Drew?
No, I have no idea.
He runs this YouTube channel called Financial Education. And all he does is like post these videos about, oh, you can 10x with this stock. You can trillion x with that stock. That's what he does.
Is that like a Grant Cardone kind of thing? The 10x stuff and all that one of those kind of okay.
Go check him out. He's a very interesting man.
If you, dude, I don't know if you follow him, Drew, but the person you really want to follow on YouTube is Sven Carlin. I'm just telling you. And then there's another dude, I forget his name. He's an Indian gentleman, and he's actually a professor of finance at NYU. That dude actually will teach you stuff, and both of them will.
Yeah,
those are the guys that you should be listening to when they're like, "Oh, Sven will come out and go, oh, I guess we're just going to eat data." Strong man only on some others.
All right, who hacked my account?
Except Jay Naugy.
I don't know. I just listen to Dude Bro Investors, man. That's because I know, and then I invest in startups because they give me stock options, and they're going to be huge. They're going to be huge. They're going to be wonderful. Everything's going to be great. So it's.
That's all you need to do. You throw in on that Tesla and that Bitcoin, and then
I love Elon. I love Elon. Elon is great.
always be getting in on IPOs, because it's like you want to pay the most for a stock that is going to drop later on, like Bumble.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The dating apps are, I think, are always going to be around. I mean, no, I think
Facebook is going to crush the other apps. Like I have a friend that's on the apps, and he said it's like by far the best way to find women. So I don't know how Bumble is going to be able to compete with Facebook.
Well, I personally wouldn't buy Facebook because like what are you doing? You're selling my data, which I consider to be my labor, and at a certain point. And at a certain point, people are going to wake up to the value of their data. Are they really going to let Zuckerberg sit in his $2 trillion mansion in Hawaii and sell their data? I think a reckoning.
Well, of course they will, because they're Americans, bro. I mean, Americans are willing to give up Americans are willing to give up everything for a little bit.
We've been doing that for the last decade. I mean,
dude, I mean, come on, man. I mean, if it's fun, what I like George Carlin. Americans were always willing to, just sign a little bit more of their freedom away for the illusion of safety. Nothing really surprises me anymore with any of this stuff. I mean, I don't know. What did George Carlin say about America? He goes, "This is a great country, but it's a strange culture." I mean, you watch Idiocracy and you listen to what he said over the last couple, it really is slowly happening. It's fucking
slowly. Scary. We're already at Idiocracy, bro. We're already in the middle of it. People were getting mad at me because I was like, I have a solution for the president of the United States. What's his name? Terry Crews stays in character as Dwayne Macho Elizondo Mountain Dew. Like, he just stays in character and he's president for the next 4 years. I was like, I'm voting for that. The first time he does a State of the Union and whips out an AR just
M203, M203 Yeah, we'll be watering the plants with Gatorade here soon enough. I mean, it is getting to that kind of just
Brando. It's what plants crave.
No, but I wanted to ask you too. I mean, like, because I don't know, being in the military, and then I see what happens with these professional athletes as well. I feel like those are the two epitome, like basically of like I just can't believe people are that bad with money. I don't get it. I don't know. Chris, I think you should go be a financial advisor to the NBA, and really, I think you can do it.
I will never be a financial advisor again. Ever. Ever. I hate them. They are scum. And I think it's a lot of work to get registered. Like, I thought about like, oh, maybe I could sell like Vanguard somehow, and like I would charge people an upfront fee and I would build them a financial plan. But then I'm like, you have to do all this registration crap, and it's just too much to even consider doing that on my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with stupid people. I'll just be perfectly honest. Like, if you like my channel, you subscribe to it, and then I'll just do live streams, but I don't want to like talk to idiots. Oh, you put your money in your savings account. Don't max out your credit card. I can't do it.
But how did Ramsey get so big? Like, what I never understood, like what he preaches. I mean, I'm not a big fan of everything he does, but he's got such a huge following. I don't understand how.
It's because of the church. I think he had the angle of like, he really went after he has a Christian perspective,
the evangelical side of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been going for like 20 or 30 years. I mean, he's had a lot of time to like really build his thing up.
And I like your revamped baby steps. I mean, like that was that was pretty good. I mean, that was
the alpha steps.
The alpha step. No, but the thing is though, I mean, like I'm such a big fan of what you're trying to do, but it's kind of like what my family has told me. It's like, are you really going to get an 18-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid or somebody who's in their 20s who's finally got a little bit of money to really listen? I mean, I don't think until my late 20s I was like, man, I better get on this, or mid to late 20s. I mean, unless
you're not, because there's too much propaganda and the whole thing of consumerism and you need this or you're not cool. Like, it takes a while for it to break through. Once people actually, go into massive debt and they realize how crappy their lives in, then they're like, oh, maybe I should fix my personal finances now. And that takes a while to happen.
Well, the American dream is, I mean, that's what it seems like. The American dream is built with debt. And then, when I say we need to stop the student loan, stuff based on the horrific stuff I've seen with people, and all this stuff, it's like, how dare you say that? How dare you say that? I'm like, I just don't want you to get into this, and it stops people from having families, starting their lives, careers. It's really terrible. I mean,
it's the addiction to status. It's all about the status. You must have a degree. You must have this nice job title. And, pursuing freedom, that's irrelevant. You just need to be popular to your neighbors. That's all that matters.
But Chris, what were you saying?
Think about how much we don't think that way. But if you go to a lot of these people in the city who are $100,000 in student debt and they're doing gig economies, how much do they look down on a plumber or a garbage man?
There's a lot of them, and
it's like he's a garbage man. Okay, but I'm looking down on that. Okay, but sanitation is one of the most important jobs that we have in this society. Why is you think he's dumb? Did you have a conversation with him? It's for some reason somewhere along the line, blue collar work started getting looked down on, and I think we have the luxury of having been in the military to appreciate blue collar work.
Oh yeah, well nobody gives a shit about your feelings, dude. I mean that's that. Yeah. Once you realize you're not special, I feel like once you realize you're just a number and it's on you to make it happen, that's when it's like, okay, nobody's gonna hold your dick while you pee. Nobody's gonna do any of this stuff. Like you've got to make it happen. It's all on you. I mean, look at Johnny Kim, dude. I mean, look at that guy, the Navy SEAL doctor astronaut. I mean, now he's a pilot. He's becoming a pilot. I mean, he came from
the dude is such a stud. It's like unbelievable. He's a national treasure, man. It's like
I told you we need him as a president. Him and Dan Crenshaw. I mean, like,
dude, I'm a fan of Crenshaw. What I really think we need as president is Jocko Willink. So he could just go out.
Jocko's too emotionally unavailable, dude. Have you never watched his podcast? He's just too emotionally unavailable. Not in touch with too stoic.
Man. Dude, I would name David Goggins as our national motivator.
Goggins is in love with the suck, dude. That guy is a fucking whack job. I mean, I dig what he's.
Got to appreciate that.
Oh, listen, totally.
It's like when I need to get something done that I know is going to suck, I just throw on Goggins and I'm like, okay, I'm being a complete bitch.
Well, no, but that's one of my favorite quotes from him. I'm actually getting it framed and putting it in my place. It says, "Nothing important ever gets done by being a bitch." Like that's. I like that quote a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he just takes things to extremes. Like it's good to suffer a little bit, maybe go on a run and be cold, but he just goes like beyond my reckoning.
Well, you don't want to get up and go run 24 miles and
no. I'll run 4 and I'll be a little tired, but I'm not running 24. Okay.
What about he was military, but Cameron Haynes is an inspiration to me too.
Cameron Haynes.
Who's that?
The bow hunter that's always on Rogan.
That's right. Yeah, he does those ultra off, run marathons and all that stuff. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what like the super woke that want us all to become effeminate men don't understand is that there's a subset of men that like the softer you make life, the more they'll seek challenges. I was thinking about that the other day. And it's like, for me to apply it to my life, I just look at it. This is the challenge. Okay, what can you live without to save money?
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody wants to, nobody wants to suffer. I mean, I would say, I don't know. The problem is that the mainstream media pushes this stuff. I don't think if we had the mainstream media, it's like my grandfather grew up during the Great Depression and he was in World War II. And, I always talked to him about that. And he said, we didn't have physical, like tangible things like, we didn't have new clothes and all this other stuff, but we had food and we had each other. And that's all that mattered. We had a sense of community. Things have changed. I mean, poverty is completely changed in this country. I mean, unless you're in Appalachia or something else. I mean, it
doesn't even matter if you're there. Look at the homeless in LA. They're walking around with cell phones.
Yeah.
Capitalism failed? No. What failed was the government getting in the business of deciding winners and losers. Like, I'm sorry. There's certain subset of people that don't want to live in society, and that's fine. I'll go to work. They shouldn't get any of my money, but capitalism keeps them going too.
Well, I also don't think there's any real financial incentive to cure poverty. I mean, how long have we been helping these countries in Africa and still we keep giving them money And I've also looked at all the nonprofits and everything that surround them on that. And I'm just kind of like, wait a minute, is there any incentive to really solve the problem?
No, the only African charity I donate to is Fight for the Forgotten.
Oh, okay.
That's the pygmies. They dig wells for pygmies, and I just throw like $100 here and there.
Gotcha. No, yeah.
I don't donate to charity at all. I'm kind of a evil, mean man, but I pay enough in taxes already.
That's what I've also said. Unless it's a veteran organization that I trust, like not the wounded. I found out what the Wounded Warrior organization was doing.
Yeah, they don't. It's only like 76% of the money actually goes to the veterans. I think the Gary Sinise Foundation is in the 90s.
Oh, Gary's awesome.
Yeah, you need to actually look at their financial statements because like they have to publicly disclose those, and you can see where the money's actually going. Because a lot of these charities are just basically welfare jobs for people that want to have employment in the nonprofit sector. So you have to do your due diligence.
Yeah, I absolutely, man. I think that it's just one of those things where I just can't believe how I don't know. If you put all your hopes and dreams into a symbol, to a government figure or somebody who's a president, dude, and that's what really scares me about a lot of this stuff. It's like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, aren't you going to work on yourself?
I think I said this to Chris. This is the huge problem here. Is like if aliens landed tomorrow and they said, "Take me to your leader," I'd look at him and say, "I don't have a leader." If they were like, no, but I'm like, who speaks for you? I speak for me. Are you looking for the dude that's in charge right now? Like, yeah. Like, is this guy Joe Biden? He's in charge now. Like, he speaks for you. No, he doesn't speak for me at all. They would be confused by that statement. It's like
they would probably just shoot you then, Just be
at that point, I'd probably be dissolved by the aliens, or the government would come and kill me. But it's one of those things where like you're looking to these politicians. Strong man continuing the other two.
How big is this guy? Like, does he have time for a small fry like me? Because I asked Aaron Clary to come on, but of course he didn't respond.
I can't believe he wouldn't want to come on, man. He's totally on. That guy is totally on board with.
Maybe he didn't see the email, but I mean, like I am kind of small, so it's like. Okay.
Well, how many viewers do we have right now? How many people are watching this?
3.
Hey, is that all? Is that all 3 of us?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, we're the 3. But I emailed CoffeeZilla because I wanted to talk about Ryan Scribner's course, but of course he never emailed me back.
I'm gonna look this YouTuber up. One rental.
No, Drew. What I was saying is, people are looking to politicians to solve their problems, and like, these people are not gonna. They don't care about you. It's like the Carlin bit.
Yeah,
where he says you have owners.
They don't give a fuck about you, and that's and that's what I found to be. Cappy sent me. Yeah.
Thank you, Cappy.
Yeah, but they literally. But yeah, they don't. I mean, it's just like you go to one of these. You go to one of these things where you meet and I don't know about you, Chris, but when I was in the military, I met a couple of politicians. They're all the same. It's like, we're here to fight for you and we appreciate what you do. And it was the same spiel over and over again.
It's like senior officers, same thing.
Yeah. And then the chief's always being like, I want to piggyback over what the commander's trying to say here. And I'm just like, was it worse? Did you get out as a first lieutenant, or did you get out as a captain, or what did you get out as?
Captain.
Did you what did all the shit just fall on you? Like, because I like all the time, if your guys fucked up, were you always coming in on the weekends just to deal with some bullshit, or were you kind of like?
No, because I was in staff the last couple of years, so really, like if you're a squad leader and somebody in your team screws up, well, the squad leader's going in, like I'm not going to go in for, a minor scuffle or something that happens. So.
Gotcha.
No, I got things to do.
I got things. Did you tell the general that?
I never got into that much. Like my soldiers never did anything that bad, so I didn't have to worry about that. But very rarely did I have to go in and do anything.
Not one DUI. So like one DUI didn't do it, where you had everybody in their class A's
I
coming
never
in.
had a DUI.
Oh wow! How long were you in? 5 years? 6 years?
Yeah, 5.
So you wanted to get it done, get your ROTC paid off in one full swoop, right?
Yeah, get a little bit of GI Bill with that extra year, and then you get out and you get like 70% GI Bill, and then you're done.
So, but if you would have stayed, could you have gotten 100% GI Bill?
Yeah, I would have had to do 7 years, but
fuck that!
I was done. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Combat arms, man. Oof.
No, I'm done.
I love my buddy got as an E5. He was in the infantry, and he was telling me, he goes, dude, this is the most toxic organization I've ever.
It's just boring. Like you do the same thing. It's like, okay, go to the range, and then you go and you get
your weapons.
Just,
Yeah, I heard, and you're dealing with like. Did they ever throw? Did you guys get full retirement? Nope.
I mean, I'm in the reserve, so I might, but I'll probably.
But I will say to this guy, I'm 100% through the VA.
I'm rated, but I'm not going to say at which point.
Yeah, you'll make me jealous if you do. I'm at 20%, so I proudly don't make a lot of money VA disability.
But when people say like you're lucky, I'm just look at them. I'm like, okay, like I'll trade my pain with you, and you'll quickly see it's actually not worth it. The amount of pain I'm actually in. But
do you want the sleeping disorder? Do you want the sleeping problem?
Yep. That's another one. Like I don't sleep because of all the injuries. Like the injuries have caused other parts of my body to break down. I mean, it's not a pity party. I'm glad that my country takes care of me the way I feel fortunate too. But it's like when people say, "Oh, you military guys, you're lucky for your injuries." Like, okay, but most of us earned that stuff because we ran on sprained ankles.
But how do you? What's the metric for that exactly? I've never understood how they.
You just say it. You say, "I got ED, Brad," and then you just get money. That's all you got to do. Just pay a girl, be like, "Hey, come in and vow," or like do a sworn statement on my behalf.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get
the VA gives away Viagra like it's candy.
Oh man, Jesus Christ!
I have a prescription for it. I don't need it.
Well,
probably shouldn't say that on there, but I have some.
Well, it's okay. We don't. This is a non-judgmental community. The veteran community is non-judgmental whatsoever. Fraud.
They're going to take all your disability pay back. You owe the government $100,000.
No,
I probably owe more than that.
I know this guy who did a couple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan as a Marine. He's only rated at 30, and I'm like, where is this math at?
Dude, the VA system is the most ridiculous, stupid, convoluted scam I've ever seen in my life. I mean, some guys do deserve it, but I think the vast majority just randomly get certain ratings based on whoever was looking at the file at the time. And the majority of the time, they don't deserve to get as much money as they're getting.
But that Marine, did he take no for an answer? Because he probably.
I think the problem is that, here's the thing. I mean, obviously all of us went through TAPS, I don't know if do officers go through TAPS as well, when they're getting out. Exactly.
Transition.
Yeah, but I think that people are indoctrinated into being like, oh, I was told not to apply for that or apply for those benefits or apply for this or apply for that. It's like if you apply for that, you might not be able to get a job when you're getting out and all that. That's the kind of stuff I listened to, and I was just like, I didn't listen. I had a mentor who was like, I don't care, dude. Get all the education and everything you can, and all your stuff that get your physical and do what you got to do. I mean, literally.
If it's in your records, that's fine. But some people just make up just complete BS, man.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
Was worth it.
No,
Well,
yes.
I guess between the four of us, what is it? 5, 4. Yeah. No 20 years of service altogether. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's worth it? It depends on what you do. I mean, you can have an extremely rewarding career or one that is just miserable. Just depends on what you do. Anecdotal experience in my unit, civil engineering. I know a lot of guys were quite happy with what they did for the past 20 years, being mechanics and electricians. And, I was friends with firefighters and dudes in air traffic control, and they all seemed quite content. But you can get the wrong job in the military. Like I would not look back fondly upon my time if I was a white collar worker sitting in an office filing paperwork all day. It's not me.
Hey, I really take that job, to be honest.
I would have rather sat in an office and get, at the end of the day, I would have rather worked in finance.
I didn't really like being getting oily, but the thing is in the civil engineer squadron, it was the people that you worked with. Like I found when I went through airman leadership school. Oh,
that's like there was such a fucking
right. Yeah, there was a huge disconnect between the blue collar guys and the guys that did paperwork. We just look at these and we're like, you're uptight about everything, man. Where we're over here having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the military is one of those things where, I mean, I got a buddy of mine who cross-trained into the cyber aspect of it, and he is just killing it right now. I mean, it's incredible how all based on one decision, because the Air Force is big on their cyber side, and that's the biggest thing right now. And, that's why I harp on. Yeah, and that's why I'm harping on, why are you going to go for a degree in computer science when you can go to the Air Force recruiter and just, go and do cyber and then, and get all your certs and then get everything paid for. I mean, but no, man, you got to go get that sports ball scholarship. And then, you got to go get that. You got to go get it's so ridiculous.
I think college sports probably sucks more than a lot of jobs in the military because those guys, they work.
Oh, it's awful
in college.
I met a guy who played for Alabama. He goes, I fucking hated my life.
Oh my God. I would never.
He goes, playing under, Nick Saban. And he goes, it was a job, and then we had mandatory meetings and then we had all this and then we had that. And, you literally those guys really do earn their education. I mean, it really is insane.
Yeah, we had our football players. They had to sign into the cafeteria Sunday morning at like 7 a.m. to prove that they had breakfast.
Yeah.
On a Sunday at 7 in college? No, not happening.
No. Was this at the University of Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I had a few classes with a USF football player, and I said, "Oh, cool. This is D1 school. You're trying to go to the NFL?" And he goes, "No, I'm done with football, man." He's like, "I only did this so I could get a free degree," and he's like, "And I'm going for my master's in business," and he's like, "I'm done. This is stupid." He was miserable.
Yeah, I met a guy at Virginia when I was partying up in Virginia Tech one night. There were a bunch of linemen out, and I said, "So what's the next move, dude?" And he goes, "I'm getting my degree and getting the fuck out of here, dude. I'm done." Like, it's just because when you're at that level, you're basically playing at the NFL. Like you're and your body's taking such a pounding. And he goes, like, the way that, and he was telling me, he goes, the way that I'm getting talked to, like, I'm done. So yeah, I've always said this. I mean, military service equates to a 4-year scholarship.
It is 100%.
It's exactly the same fucking thing. I mean, it really is. And you're getting paid to go to school.
And you can do a fake military job, get your GI Bill, and then get out. You don't have to do this super intense job.
4 years, man. That's all it is. Or if you go guard or, you do your active time. What is it? If you go active time overseas and deploy, then that's when it kind of counts. But yeah, it's like all the, I met a few, like there's this one guy that I served with. He's getting his pharmacology degree right now. He's getting his doctorate in pharmacology, fully paid for. And another guy I know is, getting his master's in computer science. And I wanted to ask you guys, like, did you guys, I mean, probably it was a little different for you because you were in the Army and you were supervising some people that probably, but overall, I think the stereotype is not true. I mean, I think everybody that I served with is doing quite well. I mean, they're all killing it for the most part.
I had a joke I haven't told on stage yet, but basically the premise is I start talking about the masks not working, and I go, you want to know how I know the masks don't work? It's because I was in the military, and the military has a vetting process. And actually, despite the rumor, veterans are actually smarter than the average population. And I know how dumb some of the people that served are. But so it's like I'm with you on that. Like, I mean, the quality of person in the military, despite some of the dumbasses I served with, is far higher than the civilian world.
Well, I think it depends on your job and your branch. Like in combat arms, you actually find a lot of decent people,
Yeah.
But maybe in like the S1 shop, the paperwork, maybe you have a bunch of turds. So it also depends on what job or what unit you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, but for the most part, I think because I worked such a shitty job in the military that I think that's what motivated people when they got out. Were like, I don't ever want to go back to something like this again.
Well, that's what motivated me to become an accountant. I was like, when I got out, I had no skills. I had no way to make like good money. I was like, I could shoot guns.
You know how to drop some fools at 200 yards.
I was like, I'm never going back to I'm never being a skillless piece of crap again. And I just started studying like crazy.
No, I agree with you.
I needed that, that kick in the butt to really motivate me.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what would you guys recommend right now? What absolutely, man. I would, and it depends on,
depends on what you want.
Depends what you want to do, man. I mean, I would say, if you want to get college paid for, you want to get, you want to get out and have great benefits, and you want to meet people and have friends for the rest of your life. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't regret it at all, man. I mean,
I zero regrets. If I'm going to recommend a branch, and obviously I'm biased, it's the Air Force, because
I am too.
It's because you can be as big a badass as you want to, or in the rear with the gear. Like CCT, pararescue is no joke. Those are some of the most skilled warriors on the planet.
Yeah, the thing with that, though, I think aren't those really hard jobs to get?
Well, I mean, like, for instance, I was, I mean, it's incredibly hard. I got a friend of mine who's a controller. It's no joke. He made it through the pipeline, and a lot of it is just it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of just getting through it and doing what you got to do. And if the cadre have it out for you, they're going to get rid of you. It's a good old boy system in SF too. I mean, going through the X-ray. I know I got a buddy of mine who's going through the X-ray program in the Army. And if they don't like you, man, they'll make you go away. But I mean, like, if I were you, I mean, and you want to go in the military, I mean, if you want to go, what's in demand in the economy right now? Obviously, it's IT. It's, the Air Force is the best for that. But do something that will be tangible when you get out. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
like Chris, you were saying, all you can do is shoot guns. I mean, and that's kind of like what I was when I got out. That's all I could do. So I went back to school and just, used my benefits and got my master's, and now I'm in a great gig right now.
Yeah, don't be a gun shooter. I mean, unless you want to be like super adventure warrior, Mr. Badass, which when you actually do the job, you might find out it just sucks and there's nothing cool about it. But, if you want to do that, then I don't know, just be really careful what job you pick, because if you pick a bad job, you're going to hate your life. So I would recommend I would say, like the other two were saying, I would go to the Air Force unless you really want to be a cool warrior.
To be honest with you, dude, it is what you make of it. Everything's, I mean, the military has a tendency to make anything that's fun suck. And I went to jump school and they made that suck. And that was no, did you go to jump? I went to Benning for jump, and I was
Dude, so I went to airborne school when I was a cadet, and when I went there, that's when I learned how much I did not like the military because it was
fucking terrible, man. The big army, dude, going through the big army, like it was we call it Air Force Appreciation Month. I mean, that was just like
for a boglehead.
Is that like a boo?
Yeah, you got an extra O in there, but
Air Force. I mean, it might be like a boogaloo,
a boogaloo boy, a boogaloo head. I say this to everybody. It depends on what you want to do. Coast Guard's badass. Obviously, Air Force is badass.
I don't. What did you say, Chris? What did you say?
I wouldn't do anything related to water, man. Going out on sea for 3 months at a time, no.
But if that's what you want to do, it's entirely dependent, man. I'm not going to say one branch is better than the other. I'm obviously biased in that I think the Air Force is the best branch.
I mean, I'm biased, but I still admit the Air Force, like, overall is better, even though I was Army. But Navy just completely turns me off because you're basically deploying every year, going on your freaking ship.
Depending if you're
Have you heard of the USS Indianapolis?
Yes. I mean,
this is not going to happen. But did it happen? I'm not sitting in the ocean for 7 days waiting to get eaten by a freaking shark.
Yeah,
so I can be like Sam Jackson. A shark ate me.
A motherfucking shark ate me. No, but I mean, like, when it comes to do it smart, man. If you want to serve, do it smart. Just do it the right way. Do it where, if you're in a job you don't like, it's 4 years and it's not going to be soul crushing. You can deal with it. Because, either way, you're going to have to suck it up for 4 years and just do as you're told. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And, and it's going to suck, and you're going to have nights where you're going to have to work extra shifts. And I think somebody told me that the military is the only organization that they only legally have to give you off 1 day a month. So if
I've worked for like 6 months straight sometimes, so I don't know.
Well, you were out in the field? I mean, were you out in the field where it's
like we were coming in and out, but it was like day after day, every day. It was pretty nuts.
Really?
There's only
ramping up for a deployment, so maybe that was why. But
there's only 2 places in the world where people talk about what they're going to do when they get out: the military and jail.
That is true.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm getting kind of tired. I think I'm going to call it.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to call it too.
I'll call it with you, man. I'm going to get drunk and call somebody a C word.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, I had fun, and if you ever want to come back on, Drew, me and Naugy come all the time.
Did I do okay for the first time around? Did I do all right?
Did
I our 3 viewers?
Yeah, man. I'm down.
I mean, we're trying to have as many people on as we can.
Yeah, we can build the empire, man. I mean, we're
gonna have like 20,000 people on the screen. All
20,000 people talking about Bogleheads.
We'll be on Fox News in no time, and just talking about how we started this, how we got young people to invest, but we branch out there.
Maybe in a million years.
On Tucker Carlson, we got him to reject the false promise of consumerism to fill your soul.
All right, guys, I gotta get going.
I'm going to bed.
All right, this is fun, man. Hey, thanks for coming on, dude.
No problem, dude. It was great.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.